As a Zoom meeting, I'd ask that everyone please keep yourself on mute when you're not talking, so as to minimize background noise for those who are speaking. Now, I'm pleased to share that Stephanie Choi, Head of Marketing for Samsung Mobile, has recorded a few remarks to kick off today's event and express her deep appreciation for the 8 Generation 17 young leaders and for all of us here today. Stephanie wanted to be here with us. She was unable to join us live, but I know she's excited about what we'll discuss today, and she's thrilled to be part of this amazing initiative.
Hello, and thank you for joining today. I'm Stephanie Choi, Head of Mobile Marketing at Samsung, and I'm excited and honored to be speaking on behalf of the Galaxy community. I'd also like to thank UNDP for organizing this event. Samsung truly appreciates your partnership and ongoing support. You're about to hear from 8 remarkable young changemakers who are building innovative solutions around the world. These amazing young leaders have teamed up with Samsung and UNDP to inspire their generation to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. They'll share how technology has fueled their leadership and helped amplify their platforms, enabling them to continue addressing the world's most pressing problems, even during the most challenging of times. At Samsung, we strive to bring meaningful innovation to everyone because we're passionate about using technology to enrich people's lives and foster a better, more open world. Samsung's partnership with UNDP started in 2019 when we created the Samsung Global Goals app, a tool to rally the Galaxy community and empower individuals to take small actions that collectively add up to a big, meaningful change. And since its launch, the app has reached more than 100 million users worldwide and led to $2 million in donations. Last year, we took our collaboration one step further and created Generation17, a global initiative to magnify the voices of passionate young leaders who are building a better future. Today's 8 dedicated activists embody Samsung's spirit of bold, purposeful innovation, as they're using technology to break down barriers and forge meaningful progress that advances human rights and social good. Young people are the future, and Samsung is looking forward to evolving our partnership and finding more ways to work with our Generation 17 leaders to build a more prosperous and sustainable world for all. And now, without further ado, here's Gwyn Gauntlet from UNDP. Thank you.
I just want to say hello. I'm Gwyn Gauntlet, Senior Advisor of Digital Marketing and Fundraising at UNDP. I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming you to our live event on partnering with young changemakers and innovating for the SDGs. I do want to thank Stephanie Choi, who could not join us live today, and Samsung for their partnership. Partnership is at the heart of everything we do and is essential to achieving the SDGs by 2030. Samsung is a valued partner in this global effort, and specifically in supporting young leaders as part of our Generation 17 initiative. As the lead UN development agency, UNDP helps implement the goals in approximately 170 countries and territories. An important part of this work is partnering with young people, youth organizations, and civil society to enhance inclusive partnership in the 2030 agenda. We are excited to have an inspiring group of young people with us today to talk about their global efforts to advance the SDGs. In our work broadly, and with this group here today, we have seen dedicated and resilient young people energized to fight for our collective future and drive transformative change around the world. They are expanding their education, engaging in public policy, building innovative solutions in businesses, and even using technology to raise awareness for issues that affect their communities, their families, and themselves. We know that young people play a crucial role as agents for change, and the potential of their contributions cannot be ignored. Young people will indeed benefit from the achievement of the 2030 agenda, and it is exciting to see so many young people like those here today, some of whom have joined us virtually, and many more around the world actively driving that agenda forward. So thank you for being here with us today. I look forward to a fun and engaging conversation. I'll now pass it over to our 8 young leaders and Noella Richard, UNDP's Youth Global Program Manager, to kick off the panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Gwen. It's wonderful to be with all of you. I'm Noella Richard. I lead the Youth Global Program in UNDP. A pleasure to co-organize this event with our colleagues in Samsung and the 8 young leaders that are part of Generation17. We're super lucky to have the 8 young leaders of Generation17 with us today. We have about 40 minutes for this panel, which will look into the critical role that technology and inclusive partnerships, youth inclusive partnerships play in advancing the implementation of the SDGs. And we will also start formulating some key recommendations to enhance youth meaningful engagement in the context of Agenda 2030. So to do this and to allow participation of the 8 young leaders, we will proceed in 2 segments. The first segment will specifically address the critical role of technology and inclusive partnerships, and we will have Shomi, Tafara, Nadine, and Maximo. And then we will move on to the recommendation segments with Yuri, with Yejin, and with Sadia and Danielle. So starting with the critical role of technology, I will first turn over to you, Shomi. Could you please tell us about your work with Awareness 360 and how you have used technology and nurtured partnerships to make a difference in your community in Bangladesh and also beyond borders, including in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic? You have the floor, Shomi.
Thank you, Noella. Am I audible?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would like to start off by thanking UNDP, Samsung Global, and Generation17 for convening all of us here today. My name is Shomi Hassan Choudhury. I'm a water, sanitation, and hygiene activist from Bangladesh and the co-founder of Awareness 360. It is my absolute honor to be addressing such a monumental crowd at the UN ECOSOC Youth Forum's Generation17 event. I co-founded Awareness 360 with my friend Rijvi Arifin in 2014, which over the years has grown to be a global youth-led voluntary organization that empowers young people across 23 countries with the skills and resources to conduct social action projects supporting the UN Sustainable Development Goals. One of our focus areas is WASH. I realized the critical role of WASH that it can play in saving lives after tragically losing my mother to diarrhea, who was sick for only 1 day. This coming 14th of April, a day my country celebrates as the Bengali New Year's Day, would be her 7th death anniversary. Losing someone you love is difficult, but losing someone from a preventable disease like diarrhea in the 21st century is unacceptable. I wanted to take action to prevent others from facing the same. 4 days after my mother's death, I did my first WASH talk at an isolated storage workers community, and I continued my WASH talk ever since. As a strong believer of the leaving no one behind philosophy, Awareness 360 reached out to hard-to-reach communities like the sex workers, slum dwellers, homeless people, under-resourced school children, refugees, victims of neglected tropical diseases, and much more, benefiting over 150,000 people around the world. Billions of people still do not have access to basic human rights like clean water and sanitation. And it is such a shame that a pandemic had to come our way to get us used to washing our hands properly. Awareness 360's efforts have influenced a behavioral change as the communities realized the long-term economic return of WASH and how it can get them out of extreme poverty. Earlier this evening, I stumbled upon a LinkedIn post by author Simon Sinek, and it goes, "Lack of time plus lack of resources plus optimism equals to innovation." I found it very relevant to today's discussion on the power of technology. Technology indeed fuels innovation. It helps us make the most out of limited resources. Awareness 360 was able to scale up this far beyond borders in a few years because of the immense power of technology. We are not only working on WASH, but also addressing issues like gender inequality and climate change. It is also important that we leverage on each other's strengths and collaborate on shared problems to generate more impact, something we have done firsthand at Awareness 360. Partners like Youth Collab has tremendously helped us grow. Colleagues like Linka and Dinlong are supporters that we can continuously count on. As Generation 17 young leaders, we have been given an incredible platform to raise our voice louder. The technology provided by Samsung Global has helped us amplify our work during COVID-19. Using technology, we were able to raise funds and provide food and hygiene supplies to hundreds of sex workers during the lockdown. We organized over 85 live sessions on different skills through the Awareness 360 Facebook Live series, convening youth experts from all 6 continents. We are also hosting an extensive workshop series on each of the 17 SDGs through our Score Your Goals project. Most recently, we launched the Awareness 360 Youth Development Program, accepting over 200 young people from 38 countries and territories to access the 3-month-long holistic capacity building program. All we have achieved at Awareness 360 are the fruit of technology, partnerships, youth power, and resilience combined. If young people are truly empowered, not in a tokenistic approach, but meaningfully across local, national, and international level, with partnerships and technology added to the equation, we can safely solidify our hope to achieve the 2030 agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shomi. Very impressive, the scope of your work. As a strong believer of Leave No One Behind as well. Thank you so much for raising these points on tokenism as well, and for making such a hopeful and meaningful statement. I will now turn to Tafara. Tafara, technology and coding are indeed critical components of your work and your innovations. What are your thoughts about how technology helps you advance the SDGs?
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible?
Excellent, excellent.
Okay, thank you for the question, and I'm glad to speak here today. Just to give a context, my name is Tafara Makaza. I'm a generation leader from Zimbabwe, and I'm one of the co-founders of Tuvel. Tuvel is an app that seeks to make public transport cheaper and more accessible to commuters across Africa. And we leverage technologies such as geolocation, fintech, and machine learning to essentially enable commuters to track, to book, and to pay for trips using their mobile phones. And technology has played an important role in Tuvel's journey to build sustainable cities, because just rewinding back the clock about a year ago, we started off as a social media group that was connecting about 100 people traveling between cities in Zimbabwe. And we used our software engineering skills to build an app that has connected more than 1,000 trips today, and we're actually expanding to Kenya as well. And I just wanted to add that when we're targeting, especially the SDGs, and for us in particular, sustainable cities, we are connecting people, and it's tools such as technology that has helped us do this. So whether when we're starting using just a simple social media group to now where we have a full-fledged platform, and these tools are only accessible if we have access to skills. So skills are quite an important part of using these tools. And also I wanted to mention that we need infrastructure, so be it internet access, people using mobile phones, and all these work together to create a greater impact that enable us to create better solutions that can enable us to achieve the global goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tafara. We heard you loud and clear, the importance of skills, of infrastructure, a broader ecosystem for technology to support your work as a young leader. I will now move to Lebanon with Nadine. Nadine, partnerships with a broad range of stakeholders have been at the heart of your work, including in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. Could you tell us about your work with Cafe Bikafak, the initiative that you have co-founded in Lebanon, and in the context of the UNDP Arab Youth Leadership Program? Thank you.
Thank you, Noella, for the introduction, and welcome everyone to our session. Can you hear me well?
Yes. I think the screen, yeah, it's perfect.
Perfect. It's an honor for me to be with you here today. My name is Nadine, passionate and motivated young woman who has unlimited dreams and potentials for social change, and who cares about the well-being of the people in Lebanon and the Arab region. I live in a country that needs our support and youthful spirit to come back to life. Severe consequences are imposed on the livelihood of my people residing in this beautiful piece of land. Lebanon is facing a challenging situation due to flood policies, COVID-19 pandemic, in addition to one of the biggest explosions in modern history that happened on August 4, 2020, the Beirut blast, that has thrust Lebanon into its worst economic crisis in decades. The blast came at a difficult time for Lebanon that was not only trying to control the spread of the coronavirus, but was mired in political instabilities. The situation has pushed tens of thousands of people into poverty and triggered large anti-corruption protests. Believe it or not, but we are deprived from sleep, thinking about the people living under the poverty lines and others incapable of living in dignity in the light of complete negligence from the government. We couldn't stand doing nothing, seeing our people and country suffering. Sarah, Niveen, Ali, Dina, Aya, and I joined our efforts to help our people, and we initiated Kaffe Bikaffak, meaning hand in hand, last year in April, to first help families affected by the COVID-19 consequences, and later support families after the blast. We distribute food supplies, cover education and medication fees for families in need all over Lebanon. We also helped in rehabilitating damaged houses after the blast. Shout out to my team members present with us today. Team, we are doing an amazing job in ending poverty, ending hunger, and calling for reduced inequalities every day. Thank you for all your efforts. In addition to being one of Kaffe Bikaffa co-founders, I'm also the Youth Development Delegate at UNDP Lebanon and SDG advocate since years. I support UNDP in the implementation of youth agenda in Lebanon and the region, and in implementing the Youth Leadership Program, YLP, that is supporting Lebanese youth in becoming real change makers and future leaders in their communities. I'm proud to say that I'm a YLP alumna, because this program is bringing hope to the Arab youth every day by offering them opportunities in different sectors and creating a family bonding and circle of trust among them. But you know what? Throughout these roles, I eventually learned. Because of technology, I was able to raise my voice high and reflect on the work we are doing in Lebanon to the outside. Without my smartphone, social media platforms, and other communication channels, I couldn't have reflected the youth needs during these tough times. And without our devices, the team and I couldn't have initiated Kaffe Bikaffak. We are reflecting the work we are doing every day through the lens of our devices that are really showing the dire conditions in Lebanon. Well, technology can be a critical tool in accelerating progress towards the Agenda 2030 by shedding light on urgent issues and call all communities to act together and accelerate the implementation of the 17 global goals by 2030. Do not underestimate the power of collective voices. Thank you. Noella, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So we will stay hand in hand in the next phase. And thank you very much for the very brave work that you're doing and your important points on the role of technology, but also on the importance of holding other actors accountable. So I will now move to Argentina, giving the floor to Maximo from Eco House Argentina, who has been actively engaging with a broad range of stakeholders, including the Buenos Aires Congress and others on climate-related issues. Maximo, how crucial have technology and partnerships been for you and for your larger network? You have the floor.
Thanks. Thanks, Noella. Hi to everyone. I'm thrilled to be here listening to my colleagues and sharing experiences. Regarding to the question, I believe that sometimes we forget how new we are to smartphones and social media and apps and 21st century technology. 12 years ago, only 12 years, I remember I went to a poor neighborhood here in Argentina. I saw injustice everywhere, and I didn't even had a digital camera to show it to my friends and other people to raise awareness. Now we have lots of very cheap tools to spread the word about anything we want, the good and the bad stuff. But this is very important. So we realize that we are very new to all this. Instagram, for example, that I believe that everyone here maybe has an Instagram account. It's only 10 years old. And it has already shaped the world in so many ways. And we can say the same about tens of apps that we have in our smartphone. I can tell you the difference between being an activist without my cell phone and with my cell phone, because I have been both. And the difference is huge, really huge, because the digital world is the ecosystem where youth lives nowadays, especially the global north, the countries with more economical resources. Every day, a new voice of change comes around and has the resources to say, hey, hi, I'm here. I want to tell you this. And we can connect to each other instantly, share information, organize a strike, or even get in touch with the decision makers. Just a few minutes ago, I sent an Instagram message to a congresswoman from another country of Latin America, and I didn't know her. And she answered me right away. This was like 20 minutes ago. And we will meet tomorrow via Zoom to organize something about the region. And how amazing is that? We have to use these tools. I am not saying, not even close, that overusing technology is good for health, but in this era of contradictions, growth and decline, in the middle of a massive ecological, climate, economical, financial, social, and health crisis on a scale that we have never experienced before, because we were never 7.5 billion people producing and consuming in a non-sustainable way, in a way that we cannot hold in time. We need all the practical tools at disposal to change the situation and spread the word. And that includes, of course, the solutions and ideas that constitute the new paradigm. We are in a transition. That's the reality that we have to accept. We have to start working together towards the new becoming, where the human and environmental factors are at the center of the table, not as part of the result. They should be the goal, the human being well-being. So how crucial are the technology and partnership for us? They are the keystone of change, SDG17, partnership for the goals, because we build the problem together with small and large actions, with more or less responsibility. Therefore, we have to unite as never before to tackle the most collective crisis of the history of humankind. Together, the solution comes together. We have a great opportunity in our hands, a climate opportunity we like to call, a chance to focus on similarities, not differences, and accept each other. And like it or not, tech allows my 10-year-old niece to connect with a 10-year-old little boy in China and share their concerns and experiences and beliefs and feel together and take action, thinking globally, acting locally. That's the way. The right use of technology is a pillar in the development of a global citizenship, which we must build, because we are all one, all part of the invisible spider web of Mother Nature. So let's continue working together and spreading the word. Thank you very much.
A million thanks, Maximo. Indeed, young people, it's quite clear that young people hold very special keys to implementing the SDGs, but also to take action to raise our own climate ambition. Thank you very much for your comments. Aren't they all amazing and inspiring? You have 4 more young leaders that are going to share comments and insights and perspectives. We will now move to the second segment of this panel, really strengthening youth meaningful engagement and thinking about what type of recommendations we could put on the table. enhancing youth meaningful engagement is a critical priority also in the context of the ECOSOC Youth Forum and as part of Agenda 2030. And we will now hear from four more young leaders about this. So Yuri, I will turn to you. Yuri, in Ukraine, in addition to technology and partnerships, you've been actively advocating for a greater emphasis on governance, in particular data, informed policymaking, transparency and accountability. What would be your top recommendations to ensure that young people are truly recognized as positive agents of change in development processes and as part of inclusive governance? Yuri, you have the floor.
Greetings from Ukraine, dear Noella. Thank you very much for your question and actually the opportunity to share my views with the global audience. So my name is Yuri and I'm a CEO of the Ukrainian think tank Institute of Analysis and Advocacy from Ukraine, and I'm a young leader from Ukraine. So why I'm here and actually what recommendations I can give for all of us. To answer this question, let's go back in 2013 in a Ukrainian hospital. Imagine a young law student who comes in a usual free medical checkup. Each of us, I guess, do the same. And instead of a free medical checkup, this student witnessed a corruption scheme. Moreover, bribe was required from him, and if he wanted receive such a medical checkup. And even more interesting that this student had to pay into a charitable foundation that supposedly helps the hospital. In fact, no one helped anyone, and it was just a corruption scheme. And as you might have guessed, this student is me. And this is how my story and the story of the Institute of Analysis and Advocacy began. And in fact, everything is simple. If we don't change the future will change us. So today, our team Institute of Analysis and Advocacy is a team of 20 people who make analytics and digital solutions in more than 8 countries in the Eastern Europe and Central Asia region. And using analytics and digital solutions, we are trying to develop an ecosystem in which an accountable state with a responsible policy oriented on the needs of citizens. We are focusing on the CDG number 9, which is connected with infrastructure, innovations, and a lot of interesting things. And for more than 7 years, we have been dealing with digital solution, for example, smart cities, with analytical reports and policy recommendation for authorities, for example, how to spend budget funds more transparent. We share our experience with other partners. And based on this, I would like to highlight a few recommendations, which I guess could be useful for all of us. First of all, integration and interaction. The fundamental sense of any system is integration. I mean that the pen I'm writing with will be useful if it doesn't if it connected with something. So I mean that nothing can be functional by itself. So the first thing which I would like to recommend to all of us is that we all need to interact more in order to achieve the success and accelerate the progress. Second thing, which is very important, is technology. In the era of big data, the world is a big laboratory, and each of us leaves digital traces in this world. And technology is advancing rapidly and essentially. But I mean that technology is not enough. Let's ask each other just a question. For example, do people go to the barber shops? In fact, they don't just need to get their hair cut. They need to communicate. They need to discuss problems, try to find the way out, and so on. So my message is that technology is not enough. There must be technology and, of course, interaction with people. Third thing which I would like to mention is trust. Trust is something that is difficult to gain and easy to lose. I probably will not say something new, but I would like just to emphasize that if you want to be an agent of changes, you need to gain credibility. And I guess the only way how to do it, to do your work, your job well. So make high quality products, recommendations, campaigns, and it will work. So perhaps young leaders cannot solve all problems, but they can definitely be the drivers of changes. They can raise important questions to a global audience and encourage everyone to find solutions. I'm often guided by a very simple but good rule. What do I definitely need to do? And then it's clear to me what exactly I shouldn't to do. So everything in fact is very simple. And like summarizing my short speech, I would like to end with a few words which is connected with my recommendation. In fact, it is interaction, trust, and technology. And all of this will work if we'll in cooperation. So thank you.
Thank you so much. You indeed summarized your speech very well. I would add integration as well and people orientation to interaction, trust, and technology that you highlighted. And thank you very much for the brave work that you're doing. Yejin, moving now to the Republic of Korea. Based on your own experience, what would be your key recommendations to support youth participation in social innovation and development?
Hi, everyone.
We hear you.
Yeah, thank you, Noella. Actually, the conclusion of my answer to your question is nothing great. I think the social change begins just behind me and you and everyone. I don't think social innovation is a just great step from big people, but I think changes happen in what just ordinary people do for their neighborhoods. Our company is making educational program for children with developmental disabilities based on neuroscience. So from the point of view of neuroscience, every humankind wants goodness. When the brain is observed through fMRI, the brain and our emotions are mainly influenced by three hormones: cortisol, dopamine, and oxytocin. Humans are designed to release the stress hormone cortisol when our neighbors have a painful and have a difficult time, like COVID-19. And dopamine is responsible for short-term happiness, which comes out when I have delicious food, smoke, or do SNS or something. And oxytocin, responsible for long-term happiness. It happens when I have a relationship with the people around me and do something good for them. So humankinds are designed to be happier when they do something good for their neighborhoods. But however, when I look Korea, including East Asia where I live, is crazy in the competition. Japan competes for entrance exam from kindergarten, like kindergarten SAT. In Korea, we are struggling with how can we win each other in the university entrance exams and how to get the great university than my friend. Um, Also, when I was 18, after I got accepted to university, I started volunteering and teaching young children in my neighboring community, like North Korean refugee children's. In doing so, I felt real happiness. Like many Korean students, when I was a high school student, I studied 16 hours a day. Most Korean high school starts at 7 a.m. and finish at 10 to 11 p.m. After studying like that for 3 years, I was really happy to volunteer. I feel a real happiness for happiness doing something good for our neighborhood. Maybe as oxytocin burst, I think. Anyway, the program I started as a volunteering has become my job now, and now more than 60 million 6 million children around the world have used it. But I think so. I think the goal of education policy should be different. I think that Korean students and many students should have the time to look back on their neighborhoods and have a room to think about a better social community. When I spread our program in Cambodia, I saw lots of students from lots of countries coming to get a volunteering certificate for the college entrance to be the global leader. Rather, I think that thinking about their neighbor's pain is closer to social change and to be the global leader, I think. And maybe that's your happiness and that's your oxytocin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A very interesting perspective linking well-being and happiness with the act of volunteering and contributing to your communities. Thank you very much. Sadia, let me now turn to you. Bonjour. Sadia, you're a young activist in Mali. You founded the organization called Mali Musso, an organization which promotes girls' education and gender equality. Same question, what would be your top recommendations? And in particular, if you could reflect on how to enhance the participation of young people in all their diversity, including young women, including in the context of conflict. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. This is an incredible session, and I'm Sadia Touré from Mali. I came from a country where education is a privilege, and I sensitize a lot on gender-based violence, especially female genital mutilation. Also, I use storytelling as a way or as a key to sensitize people on these topics, which are very difficult to address in our country because we are like more essentially Muslim. So we are also in a context of crisis, like we are facing since 2012, a lot of multicultural crisis, like we can say we have jihadists over 3% of the country. So my recommendation will be participation. And participation, like it really means full participation, so that how we can work with young people and how we can create initiatives with them, for them also. So this participation should be something youth-centered participation. And then also development, which include education, which include social working trainings, also how we can create economics opportunities for young people, because why young people are now enrolled with the armed organizations. It's just because they don't have access to good education or to opportunities for them to be fulfilled. So and as I always said, young people are more than 50 people of the country. So if we don't involve them to be the builders, they will be the breakers. So as Shomi said, it's really important that no one should be left behind. And also being involved should not be just for educated people or just for privileged people or just those who are connected or who have access to network or to social media. So behind social media, there is there is a whole reality, there is a whole world that people don't know. So we need to involve stakeholders from civil society in dialogues and objectives, also in our activities. We need to make long-term commitment with partners and activities. So as part of my work, I also published a book, and my second book will also come, will be published very soon on the violence women are submitted to in Mali. I think you can also go on Google and check my story, and yes, and all the work that I'm doing. So through Mali Muso, we give opportunities for girls who are not privileged to have access to education or to have access to social training, so that they can work without being educated. Because so, okay, I think I'm run off the time, but thank you. These are the recommendation I will do. And also we need to support young people in their political participation, because political is very important and our representation is important. It will help us to make policies which empower young people and which raise our voice. Thank you.
Fantastic. Merci beaucoup, Sadia. Great points. I mean, on the need to focus on the underprivileged and marginalized young people. You made a very good point on young people often being the majority, in fact, of the countries that we're operating in. So good to keep that in mind. Importance of the youth-centric participation, including political participation. Last but not least, Danielle. Danielle, at 18, you founded the International Youth Watch in Brazil, a tech-enabled community supporting the capacities of thousands of young people around the SDGs and improving opportunities to marginalized communities. According to you, as a young activist, as a human rights lawyer, what needs to change for young people's rights to be respected and promoted, and for them to really be part of governance, development, and peace? A very complex issue to conclude this panel. Over to you, Danielle.
Thank you so much for your question, Noella, and such a pleasure to be here sharing this panel with. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Thank you, Noella. That's such an important question. Okay, and that discussions is fundamental in a space like the odds of the ECOSOC Youth Forum, and amidst the crisis of COVID-19 we are facing across the globe. And as you mentioned, I'm a youth activist from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, leading the International Youth Watch that was created to include and to promote the participation of young leaders from favelas, marginalized communities, and informal settlements in the Agenda 2030. And during the last year, facing the COVID pandemic, I had the chance to collaborate with international and local organizations to understand how youth were stepping up to protect and promote the well-being of their communities during the crisis, with the lack of infrastructure, public support, and the absence of responses from the public institutions. In Brazil, we have over 43 million young people, and the majority of them live in these marginalized areas and belong to intersectional groups. And the response to your very important questions is that we have to change the narrative of being a young people and being part of the youth means, not only in Brazil and Latin America, but across the globe. Young people are disproportionately impacted by questions of economic, social, and cultural rights. And in countries as Brazil and across the globe, are also disproportionately impacted by violence and access to education, income, and jobs. Several times we are perceived as part of the problem instead of the solution, and it has to change. Here in Brazil, working with the International Youth Watch, connecting favela young leaders to international organizations as United Nations, OECD, and Restless Development, I had the chance to overlook the amazing work and the extraordinary lengths that youth organizations went to step up and to protect the communities, by redefining the role of leadership, power, and relationships in favelas. In self-organized spaces, called Crisis Cabinet, the youth in Brazil present amazing, extraordinary results in mobilizing donations, creating solutions, and they spread accurate information on how to face the COVID-19 pandemic. Thousands of food baskets, hand gels, and all the protection equipment to favelas that were forgotten by the government. It's a new way of creating public policy. It's a new way of doing leadership that are not only relying on institutional powers. Youth are changing the narratives about what means to be a leader and what means to have the power to use technology to implement the change. We need to make sure that those young people who step up to face the COVID-19 crisis in favelas and in their communities across the globe that are part of intersectional groups based on race, gender, and sexuality have a seat on the table to create the new realities to overcome the crisis. That we can use our trajectory, our perspective, and our living experience, and our relationship to technology, to the Sustainable Development Goals, and to our role as young leaders to create these new realities. And how to do so is an important discussion, Noella. And with all my friends here, I can say for sure that we have to invest in and learning from youth civil society organizations. We can scale up the resilience of our communities to crisis. Young people as you and my colleagues from Generation17 and all the amazing young leaders here, they have been at the front line of COVID-19 response, and we deserve a seat at the table. Otherwise, we have to create a new table, Noella. We need to engage with new types and perceptions of leadership modeled by young people and for young people as a pathway to rebuilding the institutions that are broke and damaged and that do not include youth-centered perspectives. We need to work with young people across the globe and across the regions, as Generation17 does, to build partnerships that are resilient and create solutions that can last. Now is a critical time that we can ensure that the recovery from the pandemic works for all segments of society, and we can really create new realities where youth are perceived as agents of change and we leave no one behind. Thank you so much, Noella, and all my colleagues here.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. Indeed, young people have been at the front lines of the COVID-19 response. I think it's important to emphasize that. Indeed, formal institutions do matter and formal governance does matter absolutely and should be made more inclusive, more responsive, more accountable. However, that does not prevent other spaces, of course, from existing and young people from leading them. So just to really acknowledge the complexity of the challenges that you're all trying to address, the innovative nature of your solutions, and also just to say how privileged we are also working in the UN system to collaborate with you, partner with you, support you as humbly as we can, but also learning from you. And it's an absolute delight to see how you embody leadership, how you embody innovation and really courage in this particular context. Thank you very much for this very interesting panel. I'm so thrilled to see all the chat messages that keep coming, of words of encouragement, people wanting to connect, to learn more. You will have the opportunity now in the breakout sessions to interact more. One breakout room will be moderated by Nadine, another one by Shomi. I will now hand over to my colleagues facilitating the overall event to guide us through that, and just really encouraging you to stay in touch. Visit the generation17.undp.org page as well to learn more about our 8 young leaders from the Generation17 initiative. Thank you very much. And now don't leave and stay for the breakout session and engage actively. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back from the breakout rooms. I hope you had an insightful and engaging conversation about how technology can support the SDGs and if and when technology is ever enough to create meaningful change. I know there's never enough time in these breakout sessions, and we saw a lot of hands raised in ours that we didn't get to. So thank you all for your passion and for your participation, and you can continue the conversation in the chat. But to keep this moving, we do want to hear back from the 2 groups. So I know that Nadine and Shomi will be sharing out from their groups. And so I will ask Shomi to share first, and then we'll go over to Nadine. Shomi, what did your group discuss?
Thank you so much, Alex. As you rightly said, that 20 minutes is really not enough. There were so many discussants, everyone wanted to participate, but we still had quite an interactive discussion. So at first there were topics on the COVID-19, obviously how in different initiatives that we are running, how COVID has been imposing challenges in our work. And also there was a discussion on the importance of technology in terms of healthy governance and transparency. One of our discussants mentioned how digital innovation has created more space for young people to monitor and integrate innovation in policies, and how it's important to facilitate formal participation of young people. And another discussant mentioned about the importance of collaboration. So it's not just important that we have access to technology, but also it's important that we collaborate with each other. There was another point made around education, how education is important in bringing more awareness around the SDGs and all the different causes that we are advocating for. There was a topic about networking, why it's important that we network with each other and we try to work with each other on these different SDGs. Then there was a discussion on digital literacy, how it's important that we not just provide technology, but also teach the marginalized last mile communities, the young people living in regions where they don't have access to technology, on how to use these different technological tools and educate them on the utilization of these technologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Shomi.
Over to you, Nadine, sorry.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Shomi, for the reflections. So basically, we started our discussion by asking one simple question: is technology enough? Is technology enough in the current world, in the current situation that we are facing, the COVID-19 pandemic, all the political and economic instabilities in some of the countries? So most of the answers were the technology is not enough. Technology is just part of the solution or enabler for biggest problems. And really, all the participants reflected on the importance of technology and social media and raising their voices and spreading the word about the initiatives they are doing, about the importance of education and the SDGs, and the importance of always including the SDGs in the educational curriculum in schools for young people. It was also a part of the solution. And we also discussed that some countries don't have access to devices or to technology due to the circumstances or due to the lack of infrastructure in their countries. So reaching really vulnerable people is very hard for them. Also, Maximo said that through technology, he could raise his voice and talk about EcoHouse and tell his neighborhood about the importance of the climate actions and taking care of our climate. We also discussed the concerns about digital voices, and if everyone didn't have the good devices or good technology, how we can hear them, how we can listen to their hopes, how we can raise their voice and concerns. So yeah, that's what we discussed in the breakout room 1. Thank you for all who attended the breakout room, and I'm sorry for being mean, maybe because we didn't have much time to discuss everything.
Thank you, Nadine. Thank you, Shomi. Thank you to all the young leaders for sharing your amazing work. Now we'll start with the Q&A section. And we have to be mindful with the time. So we'll ask one question to the young leaders, and then we'll open it to the public. First of all, we have a lot of questions from the public related to the young leaders' work and how to get involved with their organizations. So in that sense, to the young leaders, while you all work across a variety of SDGs, what is the one meaningful action that you ask of your peers to help educate people and drive change? Maybe Maximo, you can start first.
Oh, so sorry, I couldn't listen to the question.
That's fine.
Sorry.
basically people are asking how to engage with your different organizations. The question is more related to what is the one meaningful action that you ask your peers to help educate people and drive change?
Through technology or? Okay. No, it's very short, the answer. We have to, as human beings, understand the situation and have empathy with the other ones that don't have the basic resources to live. That's the first thing to do. After that, we should start communicating with every person we know. Everyone is everyone. Everyone. When I go to buy an apple in the store, I talk to the people in the store. Hey, hi, how are you? You know where this apple come from with the agrotoxics and everything? And I start like a little bit chat in the middle of the store. I do the same in every place I go, in every scale, and even with the technology in social media, etc. So we have to spread the word. If we spread the word, more people care. If more people care, changes start to happen. That's the only way we know how to do stuff in our organization. It's okay.
Thank you, Maximo. Maybe the other young leaders would like to add something.
Yes, Claudia. Just for this question, I think that the meaningful action, the meaningful action we take or we can take in our is to bring our work or to bring the issues we are tackling or the issues we stand for in our direct environment or in our family. For instance, I work on what is social transformation on women's rights. So what it doesn't mean, it's for me how me, myself, in my family or with my friends or with my colleagues, how we create an environment so that women of my direct environment are have a fulfilled life or do what they want to do. And then I also use social media as well. And what I always tell people is that your leadership or your work doesn't start in a big organizations, but it first starts with your community, with your friends, and then after with your area, with your village, and then you will step up more and more. So this is how we work with people, and we also have initiatives for children's, even for young people, so that they can be involved in what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadia. Does anyone else would like to add something on the young leaders?
Yes, just to add on what my colleagues were saying in terms of sharing, because sharing is really educating and also just understanding the underlying impact of what we're doing. For example, with Tuvel, although we are connecting people through travel, what we're really doing is working on mobility, increased mobility, be it in Africa or elsewhere. That means better business, better standards of living, because once you are able to move, then you can start doing business. Thank you.
Thank you, Tafara. And now we open it to the public. If you would like to ask a question to the young leaders, please raise your hand.
Colleagues, if you don't mind, I would like to share a few points. Could I do it?
Of course.
That's great. I would like to share something with you because usually people discuss a lot about the role of technologies, their significant effect, because it's really true how they can optimize processes, solve a lot of problems in area corruption, transparency, everywhere, in fact. And one of the messages which people usually share that with the development of technologies, the role of people will decrease, the role of person. I guess it's not the right statement, because together with the development of technologies, role of the person also, in fact, increases, because a person should think enough about strategy, about principles, values, which should be in the core of the technology, how they should operate, and so on. So that's why I guess now we should think together with the development of technologies and interaction and cooperation with, we should also understand that it doesn't mean that the role of particular person will decrease. It's just the open mind. Maybe someone will add also. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Does anyone in the public have any question? Okay, I have one final question for the young leaders, and it's basically about your future plans. So if you would like to share with us what are you looking forward over the next year? Thank you. Maybe Shomi, you would like to start?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. Well, what am I looking forward to? Okay. The end of COVID-19, as everyone else in the world, I'm sure, because we really, our work has been impacted because of COVID-19 a lot, Awareness 360, and the same was shared by the discussants in the breakout room as well. I'm sure we're not being able to do things as much as we would like to do, not being able to go out and do projects in person. So yeah, going back to doing what I love doing is probably what I am really looking forward to. And just one thing I would like to share with everyone is that just a few minutes ago, somebody sent me an individual message saying, I'm very young, I'm only 15 years old, but I'm very interested to do stuff. But I see a sense of lack of confidence. So I just want to remind all of you that we are never too young to bring change, just as Greta Thunberg has said. And we will never be ready. If you're feeling strongly about a problem, if you see that there is a problem and it needs a solution, you will never be fully ready to come up with a project or an initiative, right? So just having that mindset that you will grow along the way. So start small, but start now. I think taking action instantly is the right way to go. And eventually we will definitely learn and grow together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shomi. Maybe Daniel or Jadine would like to add something?
Yes, thank you, Shomi, for this beautiful words. Actually, what I hope to see in 5 years, getting back my Beirut, building back my Beirut, building back our dreams and our hopes. We are still, as I mentioned in the chat, we are still building Beirut to come back to life. And I hope that Lebanon will end this and all this economic crisis and the political instabilities will end in the Lebanon. And on Kaffe Bikaffak level, we hope that we can reach a global, the global audience, and we can raise our voices and tell the world that we are a youth-led initiative and we want to support everyone in our country. Please donate, please support us. And I see us increasing the scope of work by helping also not only the Lebanese people, but also refugees living in camps. And on a personal level, I hope that I will continue to support the Lebanese youth voices and to raise their voices, not only in Lebanon and the region, but on a global level. And that's what I will be doing in the near future. Thank you, Generation17. Thank you, Undp. Thank you, Samsung, for raising our voices and for informing the world about our youth-led initiative and for always supporting us. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadine. Maybe one last question and one last answer from Jadine.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, you can go first.
Okay. Yeah. So I think the coming project or the coming yes, we have okay. So I would like in the next year, not years, but next year, launch the second book, and then also still continue to grow with my organization and then continue to develop it and to make it to commit more to it, because I also work. And then in the coming 3 or 4 years to be a candidate for a parliament. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadia. So if the other young leaders don't like to add something else now, we can go over with Noella for the closing remarks.
Gloria, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, Daniel, go ahead.
I lost connection, so I'm sorry about that. But just as my final remark and listen to my inspirational colleagues on Generation17, my final comment would say we had amazing conversation in breakout rooms, and I'm very inspired by those amazing young people across the globe. Generation17, we are just an example and a small group of people who are here to inspire, support, and learn from all of you. And I can say for sure now that we are on the right track. We have less than 10 years to achieve the 2030 goals, but I'm deeply impressed by how young people are stepping up and making themselves available to protect and promote human rights in their communities. So I hope, and in the years to come, to see a lot of you on the parliament, at the United Nations level, at the regional, local, and international institutions, and not only working to promote and to protect your community, but to change how things are done and how institutions work globally. So I'm very inspired. That's my goal when I created International Youth Watch, to see young people shaping and leading the 2030 agenda, was creating the same year here in Rio de Janeiro. So I'm super excited, and thank you so much, Undp and all Noella teams and Samsung, for giving us this amazing opportunity. Feel free to connect with us online, to download the Global Apps goals, and I'm super excited. I'm so glad I was here. I'm so thankful for all your journeys and trajectories. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. I will not attempt to summarize, all the great points that you made. I think you really highlighted the human factor, the importance of solidarity, the importance of empathy, the importance of really achieving systemic change beyond identifying specific means to an end. Youth participation is also a right. I think it's also important to highlight that. And we both want to see more young people contribute to development, but we also want to prioritize the promotion and the protection of human rights of young people as an end in itself. So thank you very much for being great partners and being so generous also with your time and your commitment to this initiative. I hope that we will continue having regular dialogue so that also all our partners, etc., can keep abreast with the evolution of your work, broad diversity as well. I mean, we look forward to continuing to engaging with you as entrepreneurs, as politicians, as activists, as human rights lawyers, as journalists, really making a difference in all your diversity and keeping your authenticity. And this is really commendable. I want to thank each and every one of you. Maximo, Tafara, Yuri, Shomi, Sadia, Daniel, Yejin, Nadine. It has been an amazing dialogue. I want to thank Stephanie and Celia in Samsung, Alex, Lindsay, Emily, who are supporting Samsung team through Endelman and being great colleagues, Gwen, Claudia, Julia in UNDP, all our teams, youth team, communications teams, regional and country office colleagues for making this event a success and really a substantive and inspiring one. Thank you very much. Please stay in touch. Have a look at the Global Goals app. Spread the word. Continue to spread the love and queries and specific requests for contacts in chats. Thank you very much for inviting us also to the unofficial WhatsApp of the ECOSOC Youth Forum. I think a lot of you will continue to engage there. and meet also our young leaders in formal sessions of the ECOSOC. You will find Maximo, Nadine, Sadia contributing to different sessions and beyond. So thank you very much to all. A great pleasure being with you today, and I hope that around the high-level political forum and other important development processes, we will continue the discussion on Generation 17. Stay tuned, and thank you very much to all.
Thank you, everyone. I actually took my Zoom selfie. Thank you all.
That's great. If you want to take pictures, you can stick around, absolutely. And say that we will make.
So Nadine, is it okay? Do you have your selfie?
Are you doing it now?
Not yet.
But if everyone is comfortable opening their cameras so we can see everyone and
okay.
And just
selfie with videos. So guys, open your cameras now. And your thumbs up, please. Your thumbs up for Generation 17. Yeah, amazing. Perfect. Yes, another one with the second group. Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Is it good? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nadine.
Perfect.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you, everyone. Thank you.